Hello, welcome. So here we are, first video leading us in to the second module, which is leading self. So already we've looked at different leadership styles in the first module, which was the concepts of leadership. What we're going to do through this module is try and give you some tools so that you can start to actually do the do and start to help make your life more efficient, easier and more manageable. First thing we're going to do is we're going to kick off with a riddle. So take a look at this and tell me what you think the answer is. I'm sure you guessed it. I'm sure you guessed the answer because I ran this by a few people and it's not that complicated. Not exactly mastermind level riddle, but the answer is time. Well, that's going to be the subject of today's module. So we're going to talk about time management. So one of the things we're going to look at is time pressures, where they come from, how to deal with them. We're also going to look at some tools to help support you in managing your time better. We're going to look at how to prioritize, how to plan, and how to set goals as well. So the first thing is time pressure, and we can't get away from time pressure. It pops up all the time. And with me, when I was writing the content for this module, I love the module. I love the topic of time management. It's something that really helped me in my working life. It's something that has helped me in my private life as well, because it makes me more efficient, it makes me organized. And the tools that I've learned, which I'm going to share with you today, are some of the ways that I've become this efficient person. And I guess now, I used to look at people who were, I call them really annoying. These kind of people who they get up early and they leave the home after having a nice breakfast and they've had a shower, the clothes are ironed, they leave for work, it doesn't matter if they're in traffic because they've got the radio on, they're chilling out, they arrive in the car park and stroll into work without a care in the world. I used to be the person who would get out of bed after I've snoozed the alarm 5 times. I would rush downstairs, probably with my shirt on backwards, brush my teeth with toothpaste all over my face and rub myself when I had hair, dry my hair quickly and run out the door with hair all over the place. Dive in the car, drive to work, Mach 10, screech into the car park and dive through those doors just in time to clock in before I was going to get myself in trouble. Not a comfortable way of living, let me tell you. So the tools that I've learned through the years have changed me. Now, I'm not that super annoying person just yet. I don't do the gym and I still hit the snooze button. However, I'm far better than I used to be. So we're going to talk about how to remove some of these pressures and how to be that more zen person, that controlled person. Now, when I wrote this content, like I said, I enjoyed the topic. The deadline was what added the pressure. Today, stood in front of you, we booked in this session to use these studios and record this content. If I could have moved this deadline, if I could have given myself an extra 2 weeks, then I wouldn't have been under pressure as much because I'd have had more time to write the content and get it right and rehearse it. But this was an immovable date for me, so I had the pressure. Now, where you can, you should remove that pressure. But in the world of health and social care, you don't always have that luxury because your client, your customer is a human being and they have needs. And if somebody, let's say, has fallen over, somebody's had an accident and they're shouting for your help, you can't just say, excuse me, you're going to need to move the deadline because I'm working on something, so just push it back a little bit. I'll get there tomorrow when I've done my existing workload. Won't work. So sometimes the deadlines aren't movable and we don't live in this perfect world. What we want to do is find a balance of where we can move the deadline and how we can manage the work in front of us. So that's what we're going to get into. Time's, it's a really difficult thing. We can't control it. We can't stop it. We can't pause it. We can't fast forward it, slow it down. So it's a really difficult thing, and it's something that the richest person in the world cannot buy. It's uncontrollable, but what we can do, while we can't control it, we can manage it. So that's what we're going to get into, and when we do that, your personal well-being will be far better. So we're going to kick off with a tool, and we're going to look at short-term planning and prioritization. So the first tool it's been around for centuries. It's old and gold. It's called a to-do list. I'm sure that you've heard of that. Now, to-do lists have gone through many different varieties and variations through the years. You've got the scribbled down on the back of a cigarette paper. You've got to-do lists that are created on sticky notes and plastered around desks or around your house, all the way up to these modern apps that we've got on our phones that are built into email systems and other bits and pieces. So they've really been through a big evolution of to-do lists, but the one thing is they work. And what we need to do is make sure that we get our to-do list working for us. So let me give you a scenario. It's the weekend, 7:30 in the morning, you're about to start your shift, you walk through the door thinking you know exactly what you are doing today, and that's probably going to be going to your locker or going to the office, going to the kitchen, getting a coffee, chewing the cud with somebody, and then getting into your work. But when you walk through the doors today on this 7:30 weekend start, there's an incident. Somebody's fallen, colleagues are screaming for your support, you're running over, you're getting involved, and you're straight into it. You're doing the do immediately. So whatever to-do list you have prepared in this super efficient new lifestyle that you've got is out the window. And these things are real. That's real world situation. You'll experience it an awful lot. So you get into this incident, you help resolve it, and all of a sudden you've lost 2 hours of your day. It's now 9:30. Now you've still got the workload from 7:30 to do. It's not disappeared. Nobody's done it for you. You've still got to do it. And you've got two routes you can take. The first route is you flap and think, I've got all these things to do today. I don't know where to start. And you start then going to a quiet space and trying to gather your thoughts and think about what you're going to do. The second route is you've already done all of that. You've done it at the start of the week, or you've done it at the start of the month. So you go to your office, you pick up your to-do list and you say, okay, I know what I have to do. I know what's essential. I know what needs to be done first. And I know what's going to come at the back end of the day, which are these things that I'd like to get done, but if I don't, they can get pushed to tomorrow. So you get about it and you start doing your do because you've got your to-do list. And that's the benefit of a good to-do list. And there's other benefits because no doubt, like me, you've gone to bed and when your head hits the pillow, you're extremely tired. You was barely keeping your eyes open when you were watching Netflix downstairs. But now all of a sudden, you're laid in bed and you can't get to sleep. Why is that? Why was I downstairs 5 minutes ago, keeping my eyes open with matchsticks, but now 5 minutes later I'm laid in bed and I'm wide awake? And the reason for that is this supercomputer that we are, that is our brain, it goes through a systematic shutdown before it will allow you to go to sleep. And the reason it does that is because it's frightened that you're going to forget something that's really important. So the first thing it starts to do is it will take you chronologically through your day. What did I do this morning? Did I do it well? Did I do it right? Is it finished? And it will go systematically through the day. Now, if you've been a good person and you've done everything you should to a good quality and standard and it's all tied off, nicely finished, your brain will say, well done, Adam, get yourself off to sleep now. And you can just seamlessly go off to sleep. And what normally happens if you've been extremely good and efficient in doing everything, you'll start doing these shakes where you wake your partner up and they think that there's something, you're possessed. Now, what happens a lot of the time is you get there and you close your eyes and you cannot get to sleep. And 60 minutes later, you're still led there. And you've got things buzzing around, spinning around in your mind. Now, when that happens to me, a lot of the time I'll reach for my phone and text myself. And I'll say tomorrow morning, text myself saying, when you wake up, ring Bill, ring Jean, or do this. And when I've done that, I've got this thing out of my mind, put it somewhere else, and my brain says, okay, you can go to sleep now, Adam, get yourself off. And then I get to sleep. So that's the importance of a to-do list. It's basically getting all this information, putting it out on a piece of paper or on a computer, whatever it may be, to let your brain know, it's okay, brain, we've got this, we've covered it, we're not going to forget it, we will do it tomorrow. And that is why a to-do list is really good. And that's going to be the first tool for our time management module. So we're going to dive straight into to creating a to-do list now. So I want you to get a piece of paper, and I want you to take 5 minutes and start to think about what you do. What are the responsibilities that land on your shoulder? Just jot them down, whatever works for you. Okay, so now we're looking at another tool that we've got. You've got your to-do list, all the scribbles of everything that needs to be done, all the things that pop up on a daily basis. And I want to talk about how we start to process these. So we talked about us being a supercomputer and our brain being this supercomputer. Well, in A&E, in the NHS, there's something called triage. I'm sure many of you have come across triage before. And it's basically a system that we go through, and it's a process that allows us to determine a certain course of actions based on an event that's in front of us. You will face situations all the time. You know, your job as a leader in health and social care, a lot of the time is situational management. Somebody's coming, I always use Bill, we'll go with Bill again. Bill's running up, bang, bang, bang on your office door. Can you help me with this, that and the other? And you give a piece of advice to Bill, go and do this, or go here, ask that. Pick this person up, move them over there. You're managing situations, and these situations are unprompted, unexpected and irregular. But you being the leader that you are, you can manage them. Brilliant. You're already triaging when you do that. You already know what you're meant to do. The best example of triage that I know is when somebody calls 999. First question, 999, what's your emergency? That's triage question number one. Explain the emergency situation. Okay, triage question two, which department do you need? Fire, ambulance, or police? I nearly forgot the third one then, police. Triage question number two, done. And that's a very simple, basic triage. You've also got the situation where you may hurt your hand. Can you put a plaster on it? Yes, no. No, I can't. I'm losing a lot of blood. Okay, triage question number two comes up. Do you need to ring 111? Yeah, I need some more advice. Okay, ring 111. They ask you, how much blood are you losing? Is your floor one big puddle of claret? Yes, it is. Okay, I think we better get you to A&E. And that's the process, that's the steps, that's what triage is. And we know that you will already do that in your daily lives. We're going to start triaging your to-do list. So we've got your to-do list. It's scribbled all over the place. Hopefully nobody's used a cigarette packet to scribble it down, but if you have, don't worry, that's fine. Now we're going to get into chunking it out. We're going to chunk out what we need to do this week. What are our weekly tasks and responsibilities? Then we're going to look at this month, and finally we're going to look at this year. No doubt you're thinking, well, there's not that much that I've got planned in for the next rolling 12 months. That's fine. Let's just concentrate on this week and this month, and if anything comes for this year, pop it in there. And then we're going to start breaking this down and leveling up the detail. And we're going to use the time management matrix. So this is a tool that helps us prioritize when we do things, how important they are. Do they deserve your time? Now, Paddy, who you've met, came from your industry. He was a leader in health and social care, and he's been through this. And he still goes through it today in his existing work as a consultant within health and social care. Earlier today, I rang Paddy because I wanted to know some of the tasks that he does, or he used to do when he was specifically in your field, on a daily basis or a weekly basis. So Paddy gave me some ideas of daily tasks. Prioritizations. Who's the best person to give me a steer on what a list would be of tasks to do within a day? Let's ring Paddy. You can help. All right, Paddy, how are we doing? Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Paddy, I would like your help if possible.
What can I do for you?
I'm creating a list of tasks that would be done on a daily basis, really, within health and social care. and I just want to think, what were the type of things that you were doing when you were a leader in health and social care on a daily basis?
Oh my goodness, loads of things, lads. Let me think. I mean, most importantly, it's making sure things happen for the guys you're supporting. So activities, appointments, things like that.
Yeah.
There's always supervisions that need doing for staff. There's always kind of overtime requests going around because services are quite often running short. Ooh, the rota needs completing actually is one thing that needs doing. Medication administration records need doing if people in services take medication. Then there's always the little bits like, you know, a colleague asking you to come and look at something, to give them a hand perhaps, or, you know, there's always a kind of WhatsApp group going and questions that people ask through that. And then it kind of invariably, you know, the manager will be trying to get hold of you for something usually related to the team. And then amongst all that, of course, taking a break. It's important that we get a break in. So off the top of my head, I think they're probably some of the main things that would happen on a daily basis.
You're a start. That's great. That's all I needed. Thanks very much, Pad.
No probs.
Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, mate.
Okay, makes sense. Let's get it typed up. So, Paddy's tasks, here they are listed out. The first one that we had was client appointments, then client activities, supervisions, emails, roads completion, medication records, returning calls, answering questions and taking breaks. Kind of standard stuff really. What we want to do now is we want to identify where they fit best in the time management matrix. Because there's 4 elements to this. The first one is that it's important and it's urgent. Now my interpretation of that is important is essential really. You have to do this. If you don't do it, it's going to affect your clients or your service. So it's essential really, it's important. Is it urgent? Urgent to me means it has to be done now or within this shift. We've also got not urgent. Not urgent means it doesn't need to be done in this shift. We'd like to do it, but if we don't have the time, we can press pause and move it to tomorrow or potentially next week. Then we've got not important. So we've got not important urgent tasks, which hopefully we can delegate, and we can identify people within our team that can take these tasks on for us, which is great because then that starts to empower people. That starts to make people think, oh, this leader trusts me. That's great. It also gives them a chance to start trying things and start learning from their own mistakes because they'll make them, but you're going to be there to go back afterwards and reflect and take away some learnings from that experience. And then we've got things that aren't urgent, so we can push them back, but also they're not important, kind of nice to have. But if we don't do them, it's not going to affect the service. It's not going to stop the world spinning. Now that's something really important and something that I want you to focus on because this has helped me a lot in my life. Because there's always these things that you want to work on, but you can't find the time. By eliminating things, by really identifying what it is that you inherited from a predecessor, that your business has always done, one way or another, your team have always worked in this way, and you don't actually know why, but you do it anyway, they're the kind of things that we want to eradicate. And when we eradicate, the more that we eradicate, the more time we have to spend on delivering a better quality service to our clients. And that's what we're here for. So now we're going to take a break and we're going to really think about that to-do list that you've got that's now chunked out into this week and this month, and we're going to put it into the time management matrix. Now first what we're going to do, because we've all got our own examples of this, we're going to use Paddy's list. And then I'm going to tell you where I think Paddy's list of prioritised tasks need to sit within the time management matrix. So let's kick off, shall we? So the first box we've got is important and urgent. So these are the things that we need to do now. We need to act on straight away. So the essential roles. So when I look down Paddy's list and I think, okay, Paddy, you've got client appointments. Where do client appointments sit? Well, let's talk about if it was an appointment with a doctor. Essential. We can't allow a client to miss that appointment. So it's important. Is it urgent? Well, if it's booked in for today, it's really urgent. So yeah, it's got to be done this shift. So therefore, that's going to sit in there. And it's going to sit alongside client activities. Because some people would say a client activity, maybe going for a walk, is not essential. But if you're an autistic person, and the only outlet you've got that day is to go for a walk, and it's part of your routine, it's something that you're used to, then yes, that is essential. So it's important and it's urgent because it has to happen today. And then we've got medication records. We know the importance around medication, making sure that people have got the right medication, the right quantities of medication delivered at the right times. Again, it's urgent, has to be done today, has to be done by you because it's part of your responsibility and it's important. So they're all the urgent, important tasks. Then we've got do later. Well, supervisions, doing reviews with our valued team members and colleagues. Essential, it has to be done. We can't just allow people to go around their work for a full year without knowing if they're doing a good or a bad job. People look to you as a leader for that feedback, for what they can do better, so that they can deliver a better service and be better as an employee for you. So we need to do it, but it's not urgent. If you've got it planned in for today, let's say that it's the weekend again, 7:30, you was meant to be doing reviews at the back end of the day, but you've walked into this 2-hour incident and all of a sudden it's knocked everything back. Well, you can go and talk to your team member and explain the situation and say how important it is, but it won't happen today because something's cropped up. So you plan it in for another day. That's fine. We've also got the rota completion. Now, we know how important it is to have a rota. It helps us manage our private life as well. So the earlier we can get this information, the better. So it's really important. However, it's not essential. If people know what they're doing tomorrow, fantastic. If people don't know what they're doing for next week, it's a problem. They're probably going to complain about it, maybe behind your back, but they might complain about it. But it can be postponed if needed. So it's not urgent. And then we've got taking a break, where I know for a fact it's one of the biggest problems we've got, not just in health and social care, not just in the NHS or the care sector, but in the world. We're in such a fast-paced world now that people they're being selfless. They feel that the debt to their employer is so big that they own everything, and that they should just tirelessly work through lunch breaks, through coffee breaks, work overtime, all undocumented, and sometimes we might get a thanks for it. But it's really important. And having talked to leaders within health and social care who helped us develop this content, we know that they want you to take a break. Because the knock-on effect is if you don't take a break, you'll start to produce less quality of work. Your clients may suffer because you miss something, because you're tired. So it's really important to take a break. It's important, but it's not urgent. Because if somebody's had a fall, you've walked in at 7:30, we're back to that scenario again, you've got to dive onto it. If it's lunchtime and that's happened, you've got to put your sandwich down and you've got to dive onto it. So it's not urgent, but it's important. Then we move on to delegate. Delegation is one of the best tools you can develop as a leader. Elimination, we're going to get on to, my favourite, but delegation is key. So out of this list, we've got somebody requesting us to take a look at something. Brilliant. What are they asking us to take a look at? Because if it was somebody on the deck with a broken ankle, I'm sure they wouldn't just be dropping a text or ringing up or saying, can you come and take a look at something? They'd be detailing out exactly what it is. And if that was the case, then you'd be diving onto it. But one person's important or one person's urgent is not another person's urgent. So if, let's say, Bill needs a coffee, but he can't remember where the coffee jar is, he might think, well, I need a coffee now. I've been working for 4 hours. I'm parched. I need my coffee kick. So they say, can you come and take a look at something? Because they want to know where the coffee is. And they don't realise how busy you are, the time pressure that you're under, your urgent task, your important task that you've got in front of you. And you, being a really caring leader and wanting to help where you can, you'll put down your important medicine review and you'll go downstairs and you'll realise it was this silly question that you didn't really need to be asked. They're the kind of things that if somebody's asking me to come and look at something, they'll either have to clarify what it is I'm coming to look at, or I'll delegate it to a senior member or just another member within my team for them to go and do. And then we've got WhatsApp group questions. So WhatsApp groups, powerful, really good, help us with efficiencies, but sometimes it can be a bit information overload, people asking questions for questions' sake. So if a question's coming in and it's directed at me, but anyone in the team can answer it, then I'll leave somebody else in the team to answer it. So this is kind of a subliminal delegation. I'm not really actually making an appointment to somebody and asking them to deal with it. I just let some things just delegate itself. So there's 2 examples of delegation. And I'm going to give you an example of how I really got delegation wrong. For about 12 months in a senior position that I used to work in, I thought that I gave a lot of responsibility to my team. I thought that they felt empowered and they understood what I was working on. I gave them really interesting and challenging tasks to do that were important to me in the business. And it was only after 12 months when I was doing an annual review with the team that I asked the question. I said to one of the managers, so what do you think of my delegation? Do I delegate too much? Because I did have that sneaky feeling that they were all talking behind my back saying, he doesn't do anything. He's just giving us the work to do all the time. I said, do I delegate too much? Do I delegate too little? Do you not feel that I'm giving you enough? Or am I just getting it on the money? Am I delegating just enough that you're challenged, but you're not overloaded? And the answer came back through every single person in the team that I don't delegate nearly as much as I should do. And this is baffling to me, really baffling, because I thought, I'm giving these guys work to the point where they're helping me out massively. I thought they'd be complaining about it. And what they were actually telling me was, give me more, we want more, Adam. And how that can feel to a team member, that if I'm holding on to the big stuff, the important stuff, is that I don't trust them. And we know how important trust is in a team relationship. So overnight, all these things that I was under a lot of pressure with, trying to get done on my own, I had a team of people asking for it, right? Okay, you have this, you have that. And my life changed. Literally, my life changed within that role from that day forward, because I always asked the question first. I didn't make assumptions. So that's the importance of delegation. And when you do it right, it frees up time for you to spend on more important things. And then we've got the final one, the beautiful elimination. So we have the example from Paddy that replying if somebody's asking, do I want to do overtime? So I don't really need to reply on that, because the fact of the matter is, if I don't reply, nothing's going to change. That I might get emailed again. Somebody might come and knock on my door and ask me that question. But either way, it's not essential, it's not urgent, doesn't have to be done today, and it's not really that important. What I could do is set a rule up going forward, where I go and talk to the person who asks about overtime, and I could say, why don't I tell you when I can do overtime? Or why don't you send out all the available overtime slots, and I'll respond with what I can or can't do. But let's do it weekly, or let's do it monthly. Let it not be an email that's happening every week that I'm spending 1 minute reading and 1 minute replying every week or every day. So it's eliminating these tasks where you can, like returning a manager's call. My manager used to ring me all the time when he was driving around, and every time he'd ring me, panic station would hit. What have I done? What have I forgot? What should I have done that I've not done? And what I found was I started to ignore his calls, because I realised that sometimes he just had a thought or an idea he wanted to discuss. But to tell me that thought, to tell me that idea, it may have only took 2 minutes, but the fallout of that conversation was, how's the weekend, or how are the team doing, or how are the figures? It added zero value to either of us. They were just kind of fillers in a conversation. But that 2-minute point all of a sudden become a 20-minute conversation. What I found was that if I didn't return his call, it was because he didn't leave me a voice message that said, I need you to call me quick. So I knew therefore it wasn't urgent, because if it was, he would have left me a voice message, or he would have texted me and said, can you call me now? If I just got a voice call, a phone call, I would just leave it. And when I'd see him a week later, I'd say, oh, you rang me last week, what was it about? 9 out of 10 times? Oh, I can't remember now, it's gone. So all these things, these half-an-hour calls for a 2-minute subject, or something that's not even that important, were eliminated from my life. And they sound small, but over the course of a week or over the course of a month, they really start to free up big chunks of time. And these are the sections that you can start to do your planning in. So you can see how I would use that tool based on Paddy's input. What I want you to do now is take 10 minutes and take your to-do list and start to think about the time management matrix and how you would break that down. Use the boxes and base them on level of importance and urgencies to help steer your choices. And think, sometimes it gets tricky, think how you would respond to a colleague if they were asking you about this task. What would you say? Is it urgent? Is it not? Is it important? Is it not? And place your answers, your tasks into the relevant boxes. And remember, the more that you eliminate, the more time you free up to start supporting your team and your clients. So take 10 minutes now. Okay, that's it. Session complete. We've finished this module now, and you know, all these different things that pop up in a day are probably what you're thinking, well, where do I put those things? Well, where are these things that I can't plan for, that they're not in my to-do list, so to speak, and they're just diving on me as soon as I walk through the door at 7:30 on a weekend. Don't worry, we're going to come to them later in the session, and we're going to conclude on how to manage that within prioritization and planning.